Hello ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another video here on Igai-san channel. Today's video was a promise made from me to you guys on that video where I read your commentaries here on the channel. If you haven't watched that yet, you can click on the link here in order to go to that video and watch. So during that video, someone asked which languages did I speak and how did I learn them, and today we're going to address to that, okay? So if you're new here, please click on the subscribe button, also on the bell button, and of course don't forget to like the video so it helps the channel to grow, helps me to make more great content to you. With no more ado, let's go to the video. First things first, I would like to explain that I will skip Portuguese because for obvious reasons, it's my mother tongue and I don't think there's anything there for me to explain. I've learned it the same way everyone learns their mother tongue, you just learn it. So I'll skip that, but if you have any questions or you want any tips on Portuguese language, on how to learn or how to pronunciate things, let me know here in the comments and I shall bring a new video addressing to that matter. Okay, let's begin with the English language because it was the first language I've learned other than Portuguese. I started learning it from very young age. The thing is, in Brazil we have two types of school, public and private schools. Okay, so public schools, they are for free. They are a right to every citizen. So every citizen has the right to be able to have access to said schools. I'm not saying they do have, but they have the right to have. It's quite sad, but I'm not going to address to that at this moment. We have private schools that are paid. Oh, by the way, public schools is completely free. Private schools, on the other hand, they are paid. You have to pay like a fee every month. You have to pay for books. You have to pay for basically everything you have to do that. And they're quite expensive, so very few people have access to that. I was lucky enough to have access to that in my early years of life. So I had at the time a good solid foundation. So I also had access to English learning since the age, I don't know, 6 or so, all the way through till I completed the program, because I only left the private school because my siblings were born and my parents didn't have enough money to keep me there because they have to use the money to provide to them since they are twins. Thank you guys. They had to take me out of the private schools and put me in the public school. It happens, things of life, you know. So when that happened, I was about 10. So I spent like a whole semester, because I was kind of in the middle of the year. I moved to the public school. So I spent like 6 months without any contact with English, which I would only have again in the next year on the 5th grade when you're 11. So can you see the gap, the big gap? So these kids that were in the public school, they only would have access to English by the age 11. I already had access to English by the age 6, learning basic stuff, you know, colors, name of the animals, mommy, daddy, teacher, that kind of stuff, you know. So you see the big gap? By the age 14, when I was around the 8th grade, my mom found a very small school that was actually trying to, you know, grow. So they had this program for public school students where they had a big discount to make possible to said students to have access to English learning. And my mom signed me up for that, and I'm very glad that she did because that was what made possible for me to learn English. So I studied that. The name of the school, by the way, was Genesis. Genesis like the Bible. Genesis the band. Great band, by the way. So I studied that for like 4 to 5 years and I learned a whole lot. I actually learned basically 80 to 90% of my English there, and I'm very glad I did because it opened so many doors for me. It's crazy how that happened. After that, the school went bankrupt, I think. They closed doors, so I wasn't going to be able to study there anymore. So I was good enough, you know, because I would only learn English because everyone said it was good for my future. And I needed to do, you know, the test to go to college. And of course, there's English as a subject. So my English at the time was good enough to do those tests. So I didn't really care about the school being shut down because, like, okay, whatever. The future that everyone said that it was going to be good because I learned English, it's here now, so I'm just going to use it and that's it. I don't need to worry about it anymore. But once upon a time, I went to a bookstore and one of the attendants there, he was a foreigner. You could tell by his accent. He would speak very good Portuguese, but he still had an accent there. So I catch that and I thought, oh, this is a foreigner. So I asked him where he was from. He says he was from USA, and I was like, oh, okay, cool. So then he asked me, do you speak English? And at that moment I was kind of afraid, to be honest. I was like, oh my god, maybe I should say no because I'm not sure if I can actually speak English. On the other hand, I studied quite a bit, so I'm actually maybe able to speak.
But I don't know if I'm going to understand him because it has no subtitles, and so far I've watched movies in English, but only with subtitles. I never quite understand them without the subtitles, you know. Maybe I should say...
Cut the crap, I just said, yes, sure, I speak English. Just like that. I just took a leap of faith in myself. And that, trust me, was the best thing I did. Because then he started speaking English to me and I realized, oh my god, I can't actually understand what he's saying. And if I didn't, I would just ask him to go slower or ask what that meant or what that meant, and then he would just explain it to me. It was amazing. It was like, oh my god, I'm actually able to understand it. It was one of the best feelings in my life to actually be able to understand it. So after that, I realized I actually know how to speak English. So I would more often, since I started to use that bookstore and do courses there, and many of the teachers there actually were foreigners and they would actually speak English and give English classes, I would actually be able to practice and actually to talk and to listen in English and to read as well. So it was one of the best things. That's how I learned it. That's the story. Studied for like 5 years and then I threw myself out there and it worked. Thankfully enough, I was in my own country, so I had the, you know, when you're learning how to ride a bike and you have those helping wheels on the side. I don't know how you call that. Here we just call little wheels because that's what they are. They're little wheels on the side. So basically I was actually speaking English with little wheels at the time. And at the time I threw myself out there, I took one wheel and then the other. You evolve from that. You only can grow. There's no going back in that. So that was the story about English. Now let's move to Japanese. So Japanese was similarly like when I was studying English, I actually signed up for studying Japanese. Here in my city, we have a school from the government called CEL, C-E-L, Centro de Estudos de Língua. Don't confuse it with CEL with an U at the end, which means sky in Portuguese. Okay, so this is CEL with an L. That is a government program to teach languages to public school students as a form of give access to said students to learn foreign language. So they have loads of languages. They have Italian, French, Spanish, English, German, and of course Japanese. And that's where it begins. I was with my cousins and they started watching Naruto at the time. Around the same time it was being launched in Japan, I started to watch here in Brazil through the internet, and he showed me and I was like, not impressed. This is a weird language. I don't wanna, the best I can do is watch things in English, so no thank you. And he was like, no, but it's so cool, it's the original language, you can actually hear the voice actors, it's amazing. Actually, Naruto's voice actor is a woman, so it's amazing how she can do it. And I was like, no, not impressed at all. And then he said, okay, cool, you don't like Naruto, it's fine. Then at least watch this. And then he threw at me like a few DVDs at the time, filled with Bleach episodes. And then I went home and just, okay, whatever, I'll watch this. And then I started watching it and it catch me, I loved it. I loved Ichigo and Rukia, Kenpachi and Byakuya. So cool, Byakuya is my favorite character. He's so cool, so like, never show his emotions, but he's very, emotional deep down. Anyway, I'm going way off topic right now. So I started watching Bleach and that thing started to catch me because, things about fan subs, they're the greatest because they have the subtitles and they have a specific term or specific expression that only works in Japanese. So what do? They put an explanation on top for you to understand what that means. So when I saw that, I was like, there was a whole new world for me, a whole new world of subtitles and the content consuming that I didn't know. And I started to dwell on the language a little bit more and a little bit more, and then we learned there was this course that was for free. The only thing I had to pay for was the books, which wasn't very expensive at all. So I was like, maybe I should. Because I can only do that up until I'm 17, because that's when you graduate from high school. So maybe I should take this chance, and I started doing it. At first it was very hard. There wasn't enough students to form a new classroom, but I wanted so bad that I started annoying my mom until she actually could go and sign me up. Sorry, mom, about that. But at the same time, it was good because she went there and she talked to the principal, and then she asked for a meeting with me, and then she talked to me about it, and she was like, okay, look, there's a class. They are 6 months ahead of you, okay? And this is Japanese you want. So you have to learn whatever they've learned in 6 months. You have to learn it to be able to go through the course. Can you do that? You know what, I'm not sure if I was very confident or just blunt ignorant, but I just said, yeah, sure, I will do it, I can do it. Perhaps too ignorant, I think that's tilted to the ignorant side. But thankfully I was able to learn whatever they learned in 6 months. I was able to learn like in a month or a month and a half, and then I was kind of the same pace. So that was quite amazing. I didn't know I could do that. So you see, in bitterness is good, guys. Bitterness, hardship, it's quite good at times with the right, you know, proportion to your skill can be good. But even though it's a, you know, wrong proportion against your skills, you will actually evolve from it. I didn't know I had the ability to do. I just did. You know those things you just don't know out of pure innocence and ignorance. You just, oh, I did it. Oh my God, I did it. Holy, oh. So that was the story. I was quite good at Japanese at the time, but due to no usage of the language and no practice, I forgot most of it. I can still remember a few things. I can still read, I can still, you know, speak a few basic phrases, have a very basic conversation. I need to go back and restudy that because that's a knowledge that I cherish very, very much. So that was my story on Japanese. Let's move on to Spanish. Spanish is a funny story because I never actually studied. I never actually was able to study for many reasons. One, every time we would go to a Spanish class, a new school would emerge, or a new teacher here, a new teacher there, good price here for free there. Every time I would go and try to learn, either the school would shut down or the teacher wouldn't be able to go anymore, or whatever happened, it was always something taking me away from learning Spanish. I was never actually able to study because of many circumstances that surrounded me at the time. So I was never able to study. I studied like, I don't know, 2, 3, 4. If you sum up all the classes I went from different teachers from different schools, you will have, if much, 10 classes, if much. And that's an exaggeration because I'm sure it's less. But let's say 10 classes of Spanish all my life, okay? Now, many believe that because Spanish and Portuguese, they are so freaking similar, you can actually learn it and, you know, wing it. Just wing it, don't worry too much. And that's not true, okay? That's completely stupid to assume that, because I'll tell you the truth. Spanish and Portuguese, they are quite similar, yes. But at the same time, they are not. There are so many details there. They're going to put you in the wrong way or make you say the wrong thing. False cognates, so many things there. There's going to make you screw up at some point. Speak with a load of accent because it's quite different accent from Spanish speakers and Portuguese speakers is quite different. So although you can grasp and understand a little bit, speak it, it's a different matter, and you shouldn't assume that just like if you just use brutal force in order to learn it, just throw yourself in there, you're going to be able to speak. You might be, but for sure you're going to end up with a broken Spanish or Portuguese. In my case, a broken Spanish because I've never had proper education on Spanish. I may be able to speak a little bit above of what we call Portuñol. It's a mix of Portuguese and Espanol, which is Spanish. So it's a Portuñol thing. So I speak a little bit above of that. I'm not that level of Spanish. I can quite speak. But for example, verbs are a big pain for me because I don't know how to conjugate them properly, because like Portuguese, you have to conjugate the verbs, right? And also writing for me, it's a big deal. Yeah, so that's the deal. I can't write properly in Spanish, nor can I conjugate most verbs. Always need a little bit of help. But I don't speak cuecacuela, for example. Oh my god, this is so bad. Anyways, guys, this was the video for today. Thank you very much for watching until the end. Don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel. See you on the next video. Yes? Ciao, ciao.